One of the questions I get asked more than any other by people selling their home is, okay, Charlie, we hear you that all estate agents aren't the same. We hear you that the choice of agent is really important, but how do we find the right agent? And this video is not about answering that question. What I want to do is I want to explain the big difference between the good agents, the ones that will get you, the minority, and by the way, they are about 15%, okay, who will actually see you right as a customer of their service, and the other 85%, which generally speaking is what gives the industry what gives the industry its terrible reputation. Now, I wish it was easy and I could just say, well, look, avoid these kind of agents and go for those kind of agents and you'll be okay. But the trouble is, there are always exceptions. And the difficulty is that if you want to find an agent that's actually going to get your home sold as quickly as you want it sold for the best achievable price, and let's be really clear, right? The best achievable price and what you think it's worth may not be the same. And this video cannot help you if you're one of those sellers. But if you're a seller who understands that market dynamics means that the market price for your house is the market price for your house, and if you need to sell it, that's the best you're going to get, then this video is for you. Excuse me. So what's the difference between the 15% and the 85%? Well, let me tell you a couple of facts that blew my mind when I discovered them. 85% of all properties on the market throughout the UK are listed by just 20% of the estate agency brands that exist. All right. So 2 out of 10 of the estate agency brands list but do not sell. So listing and selling are two very different numbers, and that's the key to this whole conversation. 2 out of 10 agency brands list 85% of what's for sale. And the other 8 out of 10 estate agency brands list the other 15% of what is available. So there's this massive disconnect. Now, here's the thing. How can the other 85% of agents make any money on such a tiny amount of market share, 15% of market share? And why don't the ones who are listing the majority of the market make squillions? Because they don't. I mean, Countrywide went bust, didn't it? It had to be bought out by Connells. So the answer is this. There are two different approaches. Roughly speaking, crudely speaking, there are two different approaches to estate agency. One is the bespoke personal approach, which is a human being who looks you in the eye as a seller and says, I am here for you and I will not leave you until we've got you what you need. It may be difficult. There will be bumps in the road along the way, but I will get you sold if that's what you need. And that person will invest time, expensive time to them, really understanding your situation, your motivation for moving, and your property and how best to get it sold. Okay, so that's what I call the bespoke approach to selling people's homes, where the personal service is such that you can ring somebody up and just when they hear your name, they'll know who you are and your whole story off the back of their hand, right? The rest, the majority, the mass market simply do not have enough staff or enough time to give all of their very large number of customers that level of bespoke service. They adopt a formulaic approach, a scripted approach, where very slick salespeople, closers, listers, listing managers, whose only job it is to come around and sign you up to their long sole agency agreement, will come around, baffle you and dazzle you with amazing stats and a glossy presentation and slick. And before you know what's happened, you'll have been closed and you'll have signed the dotted line and you'll be committed to them. And you will never see that human again, because their job is to do nothing but sign up more people like you. Okay? that means that the people who are selling your home don't even know you. They haven't even met you. You are literally a number on their shelf for the people who are actually going to. And here's another way to spot the difference, right? The really bespoke agents, once they have won your instruction to sell your home, will typically, not always, but typically will bring their staff around your house so that all of their staff get to know your property personally, so that when they're talking to their buyers on the phone, they can speak knowledgeably and honestly about your home because they've all seen it. Okay? The big volume agents, they won't do that. They won't do that at all. They can't. It's just not economically viable for them to do that. And then the next thing that will happen is that you will then have, at some point, hopefully, people viewing your property. And of some of them may offer. And the person who's handling the sale of your property will know off the top of their head which person's going to offer and when and how much they're going to offer, and will be able to discuss it with you off the top of their head and know exactly what's happening with you and the sale of your home. You'll have a personal point of contact. Now, this is an expensive and time-consuming service to provide. Now, on top of that, these kind of agents will also have very carefully vetted and qualified the buyers. They will not be wasting time on just signing up as many buyers as they can into their database and spamming them all with emails and hoping they turn into viewings. They will be selective with their buyers because they will want to be showing the buyers your home who are the buyers most ready and able to proceed. They won't waste their time showing your home to buyers that they haven't bothered to check are very proceedable buyers. And that, again, is a time-consuming process where they get to know their buyers personally as well. And again, in the big volume agents, that doesn't typically happen. Now, it sounds like I'm saying just avoid the big agents. And I wish it was that easy. But the reason that it's not that easy is because there are occasionally exceptions in those big volume agents where you get a branch manager who really does treat every customer as a personal commitment to getting them sold. Here's one of the numbers you need to understand. The two of the three largest agents in London by market share of properties for sale, not by market share of properties sold, but by market share of properties for sale, sell less than 30% of the properties they list. Let that sink in. More than 70% of the sellers who choose two of London's three largest agents don't get their properties sold with those agents. Now, you might be thinking, all right, Charlie, well, maybe that's just the normal amount? The other one of London's three top agents, who is a similar size, sells 6 out of 10 of the properties they list. You might not think that's very much, but my point is, by comparison, they are selling twice as many properties as their two other competitors in the top three. Okay? Now, why is that? The ones who are selling less than 3 in 10, less than 30% of the homes they list, have a very deliberate approach which works for them as a business, which is list everything. Tell sellers, tell you guys whatever you need to hear to believe that they can sell your property. And they'll talk about all the different websites they're on and the volume of traffic to their website and the number of buyers they've got registered and the number of offices they've got. And they'll talk about all of these things. And you're just thinking, oh my God, with that many offices and that many websites and that many views, they're going to have no problem selling my house. And that's what they want you to think. Because once they've convinced you that's the case, you'll just sign up and go, okay, cool, sounds great. Because maybe they've got a low fee or whatever it might be. And 7 out of 10 of their customers fall for that and don't get sold. Do you want to sign up with an agent that fails to sell more than 70% of the properties that they list? I would say the answer is no. You might live in an area where one of the offices of those big estate agents has the outlier girl or guy who manages that office who actually is outstanding. And I've seen office by office data and statistics of these big brands. And there are outliers where even those companies that are only selling 3 out of 10 properties that they list across the company have some offices where they're selling 7 out of 10. And if you are living in the area covered by that office, then that might be the company you want to go with. And this is why it's so hard to generalize how to choose your agent. It's why at Best Agent, we've made the whole agent selection process about the individual, not the brand. All right. So the problem is that so few people understand this, and so few sellers are happy to admit that they chose the wrong agent for the wrong reasons. Did they get seduced by the overvaluation? Yes. It's silly. You feel silly when that happens to you. Did you feel silly that you signed up to a contract not realizing that you were locked in for 26 weeks in some cases? Because again, a lot of people sign a contract without knowing that. Remember, you've got 14 days to change your mind if you discover that that's happened. Never sign a long sole agency contract. Never, ever, ever. There are no exceptions to that rule. If you've met one of those outlier agents who actually is an outstanding individual from one of those great companies, then you just say to them, I'll go with you, but I'm not signing 26 weeks. I'll sign 8 weeks max. And they will still take your business. They'll try hard, but you just say no. It's a hard no if you want me to sign up to 12 or 16 or 20 or 26 weeks. Hard no. Sorry, hard no. No exceptions, because I cannot risk it. Because sometimes that great person will then leave the company and you'll be left not knowing who's even taking care of you. You need to find the individuals who take the bespoke approach to selling your house. They will have higher fees because it's not viable to deliver the service they deliver at the stupid low fees that some of these volume agents charge. And I say stupid because it's why Countrywide went out of business. It was the biggest estate agency in the country, and then during the boom time for estate agency, they went out of business. I mean, what level of staggering incompetence must there have been in the management of that company for the country's largest estate agent to go bust during the biggest boom years in estate agency that we've had for decades? Why? Because their service was crap and their fees were low, and the only reason they got business was signing up people to a high valuation promised and then a very low fee, and they just didn't get it. It was disastrous. And yet they had so many, tens of thousands of sellers signing up with them. So if you care about actually getting your property sold, if you understand that the market for your property is whatever the market for your property is, not what you think it is. If you think you know what your property is worth, you are wrong. It might be more than you think, it might be less than you think, but you don't know what it's worth. Nobody does. Until you get two competing buyers, you will not know what your property is worth today in this market. All right? And that's the first rule you've got to tell yourself. We might think we know what it's worth. We might think we know what we want. We might think we know what it'll get, but we don't know. Nobody knows. No agent knows. Not even professional valuers know what a property will actually go for. Okay? But when you find one of these exceptional agents, and they are in the minority, and that's why they're so hard to find, they won't bullshit you. They will say to you, I can't put an absolute figure on it. What I can tell you is, this is what we need to do in this market to get you sold quickly. And if you think, well, they haven't promised me a high price, so I'm not going to go with them, more fool you. They're actually being honest with you. So don't... And what's amazing is you think about how many people think, oh, I won't fall for the agent's tricks. I won't fall for the agent's tricks. These guys do it all day, every day for a living. And thousands of you a day fall for the same old tricks. All of you thinking that you weren't going to. So just check. Do you really think you're clever enough to outwit these guys that do it for you? Do you just think all estate agents are idiots and that you're really clever? Because you're a classic case that's going to fall into the trap if that's what you think. It's so hard to summarize this. It's such a bizarre and unusual marketplace. There is nothing simple about a estate agency. There is nothing simple about the housing market. There is nothing simple about house prices. It is one of the most complex. I mean, I call it the market of a million anecdotes. So if you need to sell your home, and must sell your home, not like some idiot seller I heard about the other day from an agent who's been moving from agent to agent to agent, whoever will list him at the price he wants to list. And he's 25% above the market for his property and is just refusing to drop the price. Oh, well, I just won't sell. But he's just wasting everyone's time. I can't deal with those kind of idiot sellers. They're knowingly wasting people's time. And I said to the agent that rang me, I said, how much longer are you going to let him waste your time? Fire him. Tell him you don't want his business anymore. All he's going to do is cost you money, and you're never going to be able to sell for him because he's lied to you. This seller agreed to lower his price after 4 weeks if the price that the seller wanted, that the agent told him, you will not get this price in this market. It's impossible. So I'm not happy taking your property on at this price unless you promise me that after 4 weeks at that price, you will lower it to this price if we haven't got any offers. And the vendor said, yes, we'll lower it. And what happened when the time came? The vendor said, no, don't want to lower the price. Well, they just don't want to sell. That's what I said to the agent. I said, why did you list it? He said, well, you work hard, you talk to them, you put the time and the effort in, and if you don't list it, some other agent's going to list it, and then the other agent's going to talk them down on price, and then I've lost a fee. Well, in this case, that seller was just one of those idiots who's never going to sell, I'm afraid. And I use the word idiot advisedly, okay? I have people I know and love in my family who I think, and friends, right? And I know people who think I'm an idiot, and I am an idiot. So I'm not saying that they are idiots in life. I'm saying they are idiots when it comes to selling their homes, if that's their attitude, right? Oh, I know what my home's worth. No, you don't. You think you do. Sorry about all the noise. This is an experimental video. It's the first video I filmed in this garage, and I just wanted to check out what it's going to be like. So I'm just rambling. I'm going to wrap it up now because I've been going much too long. But I'll wrap it up with this. There are bespoke agents and there are chuck you into a big bucket of number agents and hope for the best. Selling 3 out of 10 properties for those big volume agents works. It doesn't even cost the money to not sell your house because of the way that they're set up and the way that they get cheaper marketing from Rightmove and that kind of stuff. You want to avoid those agents unless the individual there looks you in the eye and says, I am going to stick with you until your property is sold. Otherwise, keep talking to as many agents as you can. Don't be taken in by professional smooth talk, right? You want to find someone that you really think, I'm not being finessed here. They're not just telling me what I want to hear. I can actually trust this person. And if you can't find one, keep looking until you've spoken to every single possible agent. Because even if you have to talk to 20 agents to find the right one, you'll be glad that you did, especially in this falling market. Best of luck, guys. Got any questions, put them in the comments below. Good luck with your sale. Bye-bye.